Good morning, good evening, good day, good night, wherever you are in the world. I am Tim, back once again for the Speed Force Racing GP2 series, and as always, I'm with my co-commentator, Oliver. How are you doing today?
Yeah, fine, thanks, mate. I'm a little bit tired from work, but yeah, but I'm here now with you doing GP2. It's gonna be a good night tonight.
And Oliver, I'd say that you are tired. You've been pulling those 8-hour nights, not days, but nights. You told me you woke up at, what, 3 in the morning?
Well, yesterday after I'd done my 5-hour shift, I went to bed around about 9:30 in the morning, woke up around about 5 o'clock, and then I stayed up for the whole night, and I did another shift. About 8 hours, and then I went to bed around 12:30, and I woke up around 6. So yeah, I've been very busy. I don't finish work until the sun comes up. So,
well, at least you get to see a beautiful sunrise, though, or do you even get that opportunity?
No, because I'm always in the store.
Well, maybe one day, Oliver, but fear not, you have a little bit of rest and relaxation ahead of you, at least if you like watching the GP2 series, and you should, because so far, with about halfway through the season, it has been an absolute cracker of a season so far.
I know, right? And we're on our 12th round now. We're almost halfway there until Abu Dhabi. Or was it Abu Dhabi? Or was it China? I don't know. It's one of the two. Anyways, we're halfway there to the final, into the next load of rounds, and I wondered, Tim, who is going to stop our championship leader? But I think I can spring in the name, Tim. Timo. Who's going to stop him at the moment?
Well, Timo last week got his third win in a row and his third win on the season as well in Zandvoort. The following on the podium was Morrison second after achieving the pole position, losing only one spot, and then in third was Max Iris, who actually finished in first on track, but a time penalty demoted him down to third, but he still gained on his closest championship rival, that being the Haas of Carwin Robb. The points entering the race today, Carwin Robb has 172 points, with Max Iris's 120. Morris has got an even 100. Timo is all the way down in the 8th position with 75 points. Now, that might not seem like a lot. It might seem like, why are we talking about Timo being in 8th place? Well, it's because he did not even run a race with us in which he was credited points until Hungary. And he won Hungary. Then he won Belgium. Then he won Zandvoort. He has won the last 3 races, and that has rocketed him up to the 8th position with 75 points. Theoretically speaking and mathematically speaking, he is still very much in this title fight.
And that's crazy to say, that from a guy like Timo coming in and pretty much halfway through the season, and then going into GP2 and then winning getting 3 wins on the bounce. That is ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous from him. Fair play to him as well. But let's see how Carwin Robb will respond to this, because I feel like that Timo could really pose a real threat if he wins this race tonight. He'll be over 100 points already. If he gets this championship, Tim, this will be one of the most talked about driver in recent history of this division, in this league. He'll go down into the history books.
I dare say that it would be one of the greatest upsets in the SFR history if he, in fact, were able to do that, Oliver. Of course, upset being a very positive term in this light, and I'm sure that Timo would very much agree, even in this hypothetical situation. Now, whether or not his focus is on the championship still kind of has yet to be determined, because until recently, he wasn't even in that title fight. And of course, Carwin Robb, he has been so consistent over the season, only having a few hiccups here and there. Otherwise, he has finished on the podium in most of the races he has ran. In fact, Carwin Robb has only 3 races, last week included, that he did not finish on the podium, and in only one of them has he DNF'd from the race entirely. So, except for one race, Carwin Robb has scored points in every single event that we have run thus far.
Oh, it's pouring down.
Pouring at least for the qualifying session. Who knows if that's going to carry on to the race, but regardless, the qualifying is going to be very interesting with these 13 drivers, and I'm just waiting. Do we have a weather update from our weather crew?
Wow, that is an absolute shocker. Wow. That is unbelievable.
And that's
torrential rain.
It is, and that really makes it difficult for these drivers, especially if the race is going to be run in the dry weather conditions, because then you have to think, well, you want track position, but you also need that dry weather setup for the race. So, the no-brainer move there is to definitely go on the dry setup and just try to hang on to that car when you're slipping and sliding out there on the track.
Indeed, so we've got Racing Up to and Carmen Rob out onto the track first. Now, but being in wet conditions, Tim, has this good side and the bad sides. The good sides, we can do multiple laps, get a good feel for the track, and you won't wear down the tyre as much. The bad news is that this is Monza. This is a track that's supposed to run in low downforce, and to say the least, that these cars will be running low downforce. Go through these corners, especially Sector 2, it's going to be really, really tricky. So these drivers need a very good right foot and a very good left foot. Very good drivability in these conditions, and they'll be pretty much fine.
And I've just received the update from the weather crew. It is going to be a dry race, so a dramatic wet qualifying leading into a dry race and possibly a dramatic Italian Grand Prix.
So, I got a little bit of news to mention to you, Tim.
What's that?
Timo, who was at Aston Martin, has made a transfer to Mercedes, partnering, yes, with you-know-who, Mr. Morris. He's driver transferred to Mercedes.
And there's Timo on your screen right now. Changed his name a little bit. EVG Timo now, but Timo's still staying consistent.
I like EVG Timo. I like it.
I do too. It's easier to see. Interestingly enough, the more letters in the name, because of the font that we are given here, the harder it is to read these names sometimes. So thank you, Timo, for making it easier on the commentators, even though you probably didn't realize you were.
Racing up to starting his flying up now, Tim, in the Haas. No, who's Carmen Rob's teammate? I'm trying to think.
Trench.
Oh, no Trench. Oh, that's a shame.
Yeah, racing up to the reserve today for Trench. Unfortunately, Trench not able to be with us, so Racing Up to taking his place. But if Racing Up to is able to score points, then at least that's going to help Haas in the constructor standings. Not that they need any help, mind you, because they are leading very, very comfortably. 242 points over Red Bull's 164 and Mercedes 125 points. So needless to say, Haas is sitting very pretty in the constructor standings halfway through the season.
2 points, but then again, Tim, now we're in these conditions, Tim, this is going to be a big massive equaliser to other teams who want a better qualifying position. This is going to bring out a massive equaliser.
Maybe so. We'll have to wait and see how that goes. Most of the drivers have decided to go out on their flying lap now. I guess just trying to get that banker lap in and get it out of the way. But Racing Up to being the first one, he will by default have our first fastest lap. And as he rounds the final corner, he crosses the line. He will run a 131.931.
And it goes his teammate.
Carmen Robb, your points leader. He crosses the line and he goes to pole, a 131.594.
And who's on next? It's one of the Mercs. And it's Morris. And Morris will go up to third.
Fourth now.
Nice work with Macaulay.
And it looks like Macaulay has actually changed teams too in the Williams now. So Macaulay, who actually was able to score
Maximus pole. Maximus pole. Only just.
Good job for Max Iris, but now Timo goes to the pole in the Mercedes.
You knew he's going to pop her at one point. Calvin on pole. Oh, my. Bank collapse galore.
these aren't Baker laps. These are the laps that these guys are just putting down and saying, hey, I want the pole, and I want to go forward, and I want to go now. Calvin, a 1:30.787, a stellar time over Timo's 1:31.2.
I think when it comes to Maximus, I don't think he'd be a little bit best pleased with Timo ahead of him, just like it was in the Dutch Grand Prix last week.
And Timo, it seems that he's more of a racer than a qualifier.
Because racing up to once more, about to cross the line. Racing up to will go into second place.
So, Oliver, you raced yesterday. I raced on Monday. We both have input that we can give on this. How important is track position around Monza? How important is that starting position today?
Well, to be honest, it's I don't think track position won't be as bad as much, but the only downside is to Monza that you're going to get such DRS trains. It's going to be a thing, a big thing around here. So starting at the front will be okay, but I'll say around second or third, or possibly fourth or fifth. Top five will probably be a best shot of a victory. Because you'll be sitting there nice and pretty, let the strategy play out for you, and see where it goes from there.
And I have to say, I think that around Monza, track position is very much key, and I do agree with you, Oliver. Starting in the top five is going to be your best bet to get that victory. Of course, it's not impossible to make up the positions if you start outside the top five, but you generally need to stay close to those leaders, because these races, sometimes they can get so spread out to where it makes it impossible to realistically gain enough on the leaders if you're starting so far back. And even though we seem to have had some semi-consistent safety cars, you still cannot rely on them, because as soon as you do, you're going to get a race to where there's no safety cars, and any strategy that you had planned around that hypothetical situation no longer applies.
So Senna's on the lap, if you want to know, Tim, in the Scuderia. Home Grand Prix for the Scuderia today.
Senna Martin so far purple in the first sector. Maybe we could see a good lap from him. And what? Oh, wow, a big slide, but he hangs on to it. Fantastic save.
Yeah, it's out of Della Roggia, out of the chicane. The one that Codeman has done, you have noticed this both, Tim, as Maximus goes pole again. Good lap from him, 30.6. So, right now, the curves here, Tim, we both noticed this. They have changed them, especially the first two chicanes. That you cannot cut them. You cannot cut them in any way, shape, or form, otherwise you'll bounce the car.
And
we
it's
both
a real
noticed that.
Oh, yes, I noticed it in my practice laps on Monday, and, you know, thankfully I didn't really have that problem much in the race, because I had practiced so much and hit that curb so much that I kind of had to just, you know, implant it into my brain that this curb, you just cannot touch it, you can't even look at it. And it's a real shame, because it would make that corner so much easier, but such is the layout of the track, as Senna goes a 1:32.492, so far fastest for 9th.
Look at this for a teammate that Senna's got, Tim. GP1's Estefan Mansell making a return. Oh, big massive jump in the Della Roggia.
So Mansell reserving for the Ferrari today. I didn't notice that until just now, Oliver. I'm actually ashamed of myself.
This is a guy who was in GP2 last season, making a return to GP2 just for today as a reserve. So nice to see Mansell back in this division.
Well, maybe he can score some much-needed points for Ferrari. Looking at the constructor standings at the moment, Ferrari has not exactly had the stellar season that Haas has, to say the least. They're not even in the top 3. They are currently in the 5th position with 89 points, so less than 100 points belonging to Ferrari so far. Very likely that they can surpass 100 today. They only need 12 points to do that. However, if you finish outside the top 10, then that's 0 points. But with Mansell and Senna behind the wheel of those Ferraris, I think that they stand a good chance at least getting a few points.
I would say so. And Ferrari do need it. They really, really do need it. Because if you think about it, this is a team that they're trying to make things happen in this division, but it just hasn't gone out the way they have because of the bad luck. So hopefully it will turn out well for them in this race.
Looking at Gustavo now in the McLaren, so far has not been able to set a lap. He's been out on the track a few times, but apparently he's had some issues to where he has invalidated his lap, so he's got to be very careful, and he almost did it again there. But so far, so good for Gustavo, as he is now out of the second sector, just about to enter that third and final sector just before the Ascari chicane.
Timo's purple in the second sector, Tim. He's flying along in the Mercedes.
And there's Timo just out of Ascari. Gustavo in the McLaren just behind him. Timo a 131.266 so far, the best lap for him. Good enough for fifth. Let's see if he can beat Max Iris's 130.680.
Do you really think, Tim, that having 3 wins in a row for this guy right here, do you really think that can he actually pose a real threat to this championship? Because the guys will be turning towards him now.
Well, there are 2 factors that you do have to consider. Is one, how long can he continue with this consistency? And 2, if he does, will the admins make the decision to move him to GP1?
Oh, Zander, very good save out of the second last mile. The car was pretty much sideways like a rally car, and he saved it like a rally car. Good save.
Now here's the boss man in the Alpine. Sonicok, good enough for 7th so far, a 131.318 on his outlap. So he's going to try to get a little bit better of a starting position. And, you know, what? Imagine how...
Oh, look who's on pole.
Carwin Robb, a 130.450 in that Haas. We knew it was only a matter of time before we saw his name come into the mix. It's Carwin Robb, Max Iris, and Calvin Racing, your top 3 so far, with Racing Upta and Timo, your top 5.
Well, like I said, it did take us. Oh no, Andreas got out of the Ascari chicane, applied a bit too much throttle, and he's hit into the wall. So Andreas will have to go into the pits for a new front wing.
Yeah, Andreas just really struggling. He told us that he actually has already cracked his front wing, you know, earlier on in the session, and as you can see, he's done it yet again.
Check it out. Schenke's out qualifying. He'll not compete in this qualifying session. And Timo's going to third in the Mercedes. So Calvin is pushed out to 4th. Morris has started his flying lap. Where is Calvin? 2/10 down on his lap. So Morris will want to be with his teammate. And Mansell goes into the top 6.
131.246 for Mansell, riding on board with Morris now. A little bit of a slide there before the first Lesmos, but here goes Morris trying to hang on to it. It's currently his best lap, a 131.312, and Morris definitely needs a better starting position than that if he is going to be a threat in this race. Morris, we've talked about it every single week. He's done so well. He's had bad luck. He's had his podiums. He hasn't yet gotten the coveted win. When will it happen for Morris? Will it even happen? We're halfway through the season. We did not expect to talk about that.
Do you really think this driver transfer for Timo, Tim, is going to help Morris push on a bit more with Timo right by his side?
Assuming that they are in a party right now talking to each other,
they are, yes,
and bouncing strategy off each other, then I believe that it is going to help Morris, because we have seen how quick Timo is. And Morris, of course, being a very experienced and quick driver himself, you put 2 minds together, then magic might just be able to happen.
So Morris did not improve on that lap. Sonic Court goes into 6th place, Tim. Good work from him. Oh, and Timo's gone pole. He's beaten Carwin.
A 130.399 for Timo, just under 4 minutes remaining in this qualifying session, and it is becoming a very dramatic session indeed. Looks like Macaulay on a flying lap now in the Williams after making the transfer from Aston Martin to Williams just last week. Macaulay able to get a point in Zandvoort after a time penalty. Regulated one of his competitors behind him, so Macaulay has officially scored 1 point for Williams this season, and he scored a few points for Aston Martin as well. But he is another driver that's really been looking for a better result and even a podium or a win.
Yeah, that's the thing. Macaulay, I do have massive respect for. He is doing really well in his racing career and in his commentary career. Well, I've listened to his commentary with Shadow, He's a very good commentator. Really enjoy his work, and hopefully this will actually improve for him to get up into that top lot. When did Xander pop up into the top 4? That's a great lap for the GP3 driver.
He did it just now, a 130.702 for Xander in the McLaren. Macaulay goes to third, though, a 130.557 for the Williams.
But this is the thing, this is the equalizer, it's the weather, it's proving to be a massive equalizer. The thing is, it's wet weather, the cars are pretty much more equal. Oh my good lord, Timo's done it again, Tim.
130.339 for Timo. These guys, they are just switching the top spot left and right. And meanwhile, it's knocking a lot of these drivers behind them down because you got these guys like Xander and Macaulay throwing out surprise laps on top of it.
And the thing is, this is gonna motivate Carwin Rob because now he sees Timo on pole a 10th faster than he is, and you know Carwin Rob wants that pole. He doesn't want to be anywhere near Timo. He wants to beat Timo. He wants to end that winning streak. Timo said to him, but he's going to try and keep his winning streak going. He's going to go for 4 in a row, Tim.
The last driver in the GP2 series to have that opportunity is actually the driver sitting in second in the standings right now. That was Max Iris. He won 3 races in a row earlier in the season from France all the way to Great Britain before losing out on not just a win but a podium as well in Hungary, then a DNF in Belgium and a podium in the Netherlands. So Max Iris, he's had a good run, but he did not get those 4 wins in a row. He got 3, not 4. Will Timo be able to get that 4 win in a row mark that so far no driver in GP2 this season has been able to get?
Kyle Roberts started his lap now, so when did Morris get up to 3rd? Since when? Mercedes 1st and 3rd. Good work for them.
Split only by the Haas of Carwin Robb, who is through the not the Ascari chicane, but through the second chicane and approaching
it's called Della Roggia, if you want to know. It's called Della Roggia.
Get my chicanes mixed up. Every time I say chicane, I'm trying to say one when I mean the other.
I do like Italian names.
And Max Iris, 130.325. He goes quickest.
The team retires in the pits. Kyle Robb is needed a monstrous final sector to beat Max Iris.
Oh, and he goes wide. He goes wide. Does he invalidate? Oh, my goodness. That was close. Maybe should have been an invalidation, but it wasn't. That corner, you can get away with a lot if you do it correctly, and Carwin Robb did it correctly.
That's gonna prove costly, because as that cost him time, I feel like he has. Yeah, and it's P3 for Kyle Robb. He lost time in the Ascari.
So here's Morris. He's in the second sector now. Let's see what he's going to be, or the third sector rather, excuse me. And let's see what Morris is going to be able to do. No, he's just going to go into the pits.
Macaulay's next to him.
Macaulay crossing the line. Does he improve? No, he does not. A 5th place starting position for Macaulay.
Mansell next.
And the Ferrari, and he goes too fast. A 130.271. Make that a 6th place starting position for Macaulay. Mansell with the pole.
Wow, what a lap from the GP1 reserve. That was absolutely massive from Mansell. He loves the wet conditions. He loves Monza. What a lap for Mansell.
And congratulations to him on what will probably be a pole. In fact, the only driver left that can possibly knock him off the board is going to be Max Iris and Andreas.
Andreas in the pits, and Max Iris is out of fuel. So that's it, Tim. Qualifying's done. So Ferrari get a pole position at the home Grand Prix, thanks to Mansell.
And just going to give Mansell's girlfriend, Simo, a little bit of a shout-out because she is a huge Ferrari fan, and she's going to love that if she's not already watching.
You don't say. But in terms of the championship fight, Max for 2nd, Timo 3rd, Carwin Robb 4th, Morris 5th. You can't ask for a better top 5 than that, Tim. You really cannot.
Fantastic top 5. Macaulay getting a very good start as well in the 6th position. Xander with a very impressive lap in 7th. then Calvin in 8th. And here is your official starting lineup for the GP2 Series Italian Grand Prix. Mansell with a surprising pole, though it shouldn't be too surprising considering that he is a GP1 driver reserving for us today. Big thank you for that, Mansell. Max Iris in 2nd, Timo in 3rd, 4th is Carwin Robb, Morris in 5th, Macaulay in 6th, 7th is Xander, Calvin Racing in 8th, 9th is Racing Upta, Sonicok in 10th, the Bossman getting a top 10 starting position, Senna Martins in 11th, 12th is Chain Game Wow, Andreas in 13th, 14th is Gadabo, Impossible Bacon, another reserve driver for us today in the Red Bull in 15th.
Since we got time, Tim, because I have a little bit of an F1 talk. Did you enjoy the Austin Grand Prix?
Oliver, I actually did. This was probably the first Grand Prix in a while that I've been able to sit and watch, for the most part, from start to finish. I had to switch over and watch part of the NASCAR race as well for a little bit, but I enjoyed the American Grand Prix. I honestly thought that Lewis had it after pretty much the first 5 corners of the race, but I still watched, and Max, thankfully, was able to, I say thankfully because I like Red Bull, he was able to obviously get in front of Lewis, a great strategy call from Red Bull, and win the race. And I even walked down to the corner store and bought a Red Bull energy drink to celebrate. For some reason, I'm turning into Red Bull fans.
I mean, to be fair, Tim, that's one of the most intense finishes I've ever seen here in Austin. That was a really good end to the race. I thought Lewis had it, but Verstappen just held on because of the dirty air. So well done to Red Bull. And now they're moving on to what's the next race? Mexico. Another race that you can watch, Tim, which is pretty much on your doorstep in some ways.
I think that the time zone is an hour behind yet again, just like Austin was, but nonetheless, it's going to be very easy for me to watch. I feel bad for you all because it's going to be starting at night, and we've already started our formation lap for GP2. I think that someone might have readied up a little bit early.
Yeah, I was about to say, it was a little bit surprising, the fact that, very surprising to see that, but then again, it's going to be, I think they'll probably be ready to go. I think they've probably got all the settings ready. So tyres-wise, since it was a wet qualifier, I forgot to mention, this is a dry race. All 15 drivers get free tyre choice for the race today, and you can probably see the top 8 have gone for the softs, and the highest medium runner is Calvin.
Actually, the highest medium runner is Racing Upta in the 9th position. And then it is Senna in 11th, and then Andreas Gadabo and Possible Bacon going on the medium tires. But as you said, Oliver, rightly so, most of the drivers choosing the soft compound tire. Now, looking at the field today, what is your top 3 predictions?
Well, Mansell's a reserve, so he's not really good. His win is not going to count. That's hard. You know what, Tim? I'm going to go really, really predictable. I'm going to go for Timo to win. His 4th win. I feel like he's going to get his winning streak going, barring any mistakes. Then I'm going to predict a Mercedes 1-2, and then I'm going to go for Max Ress for 3rd.
You know, I would really love some clarification after the race on how the reserve driver points work, because that's one thing that I'm not quite familiar with, because Mansell should be earning points for Ferrari today if he wins.
Yes, of course, you'll get points for Ferrari, but the win will probably not going to count anyway, so...
Well, my top 3 in any order is going to be Mansell, Timo, and Carwin Robb. But the drivers are finding their appropriate positions on the grid, and we are just about ready to go. And there you hear those engines revving. You hear those itchy pedal feet. The drivers watching the lights. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 red lights in the air. No red lights. We are green for the Speed Force Racing GP2 Series Italian Grand Prix. Mansell in the Ferrari in the home Grand Prix for Ferrari gets a fantastic start going down to turn number 1. A side-by-side battle between Max Iris and Carwin Robb for the 2nd position to turn 1. And wow, Max Iris goes a little bit wide and loses a lot of spots. Carwin Robb into 3rd now. And then Timo in 3rd, Carwin Robb in 2nd, excuse me, because Max Iris has lost a ton of spots all the way down to the 10th position. Macaulay moving up to 4th, Calvin just behind him. So the 2 Williams drivers running 4th and 5th at the moment, nose to tail through the 2nd chicane. And who is going to win out as Mansell has a little bit of a moment?
Mansell got off of De La Rocha, so Kai Rob will take the lead, but that's a poor start from Axeris. Got a bit too hot into the chicane, probably run out of room, and he's fallen right down to 12. He's got work to do.
So Mansell using the slipstream to try to get around Kai and Rob. He might just be able to do it. He's looking underneath him.
Side action between the Williams.
And Macaulay moves into, or stays into fifth. Calvin Racing moves into fourth. Excuse me, Calvin Racing moves into fourth. Macaulay drops down to fifth. Sonicok, though, look at the gains that he has made. He started in 10th, and now he is in 6th already before the first lap is even completed. He's got the Mercedes of Morris behind him trying to find a way around
Andreas
him.
gone off for Scari. Andreas gone off.
Just no luck for Andreas today, unfortunately. A bad qualifying and now a bad race so far. He's got a long bit of racing to go, but back in 15th
Morris had a
position
poor start as well, Tim. Have you noticed that? He's had a poor start.
But Morris is making a move around Sonicok into turn number 1 now. Which driver is going to give? Which one is going to win out? It's going to be Morris who gets ahead of the Alpine.
Good
moving
move.
up into the 6th position.
Good move from Morris. Gives Sonicok all the respect he needs and gets the drive out of the first chicane, and he will now put the pressure on Macaulay, who's still trying to put pressure on his teammates.
Whoa, and Mansell, he just went flying through the second chicane.
Has the Ferrari got wings?
Oh, I think he does. I think it does, Oliver, and they are surprisingly intact.
What's on the team?
as well.
What's on the Timo? Timo's just pushed down the 4th by Calvin. The Timo's had a very poor exit somewhere, and he's now sandwiched between the two Williams.
Oh, and Macaulay now trying to make a move around Timo. It was so very close, almost contact between the Mercedes and the Williams. They approach Ascari now, and they have to run nose to tail. Calvin, Timo, and Macaulay. Macaulay right up on the back, just barely touching that Mercedes. Looking underneath him, can't do anything with it. Trying to use the slipstream. No DRS is active, so Macaulay can't do anything with that. But now Macaulay's looking underneath of him, and he goes ahead of Timo. Move Macaulay up into the 4th position. Where is this pace coming from?
Macaulay's absolutely flying. Timo's into the pits, Tim. He's in the pits, probably for a new front wing. Oh, this is not the race Timo would have wanted in the championship fight.
And Morris underneath of Macaulay into turn number 1. Macaulay crowds him a little bit. Oh, and Morris gets the curve. They make some contact. But now Macaulay on the inside line. But who's going to get the power down first? It is going to be Macaulay, who moves up ahead of Morris, or stays ahead of Morris, rather. Morris staying in the 5th position. Sonicok back there just watching this battle unfold. He's saying, guys, I don't care what you're doing. I'm just going to watch it, maybe have my popcorn ready, and just wait and go around you when you eventually wreck out. Because if they keep driving the way that they are now, that is going to inevitably happen.
It's a really good start for Kai Rob, though. Of the championship contenders, all of them having problems, and right now Morris is the highest championship contender that we know of, so he's currently in 5th place, but we're calling with 1.3 seconds ahead. He's flying at the moment. Shane Gatewell is trying to have a look at Sonicok for 6th place, but can't do anything much about it. And this is probably where the DRS train is most likely where we're going to start, because this is a big train of cars.
Sonicok has a moment and he spins off into the dirt.
Oh, but he saves the rear wing of the car, though. That's going to help him. Oh, what a shame.
Riding on board with Chain Game, wow, I have absolutely no idea what happened to Sonic, unless maybe, just maybe, he could have clipped that curb in Ascari, and that was enough to spin him around.
Right, what an action-packed 4 laps.
Yeah, mind you, 4 laps. We are only on lap 4, and these guys are racing like we have 4 laps to go. Currently watching Morris, who, you know, these guys, they're starting to kind of reel it in a little bit and calm it down. Morris in 5th, trying to chase the 2 Williams and Macaulay and Calvin. And, you know, what a fantastic feeling it must be for Calvin to have your teammate right behind you trying to help you. But just as I say that, it looks like Macaulay is actually kind of out for himself.
Is it helping or trying to pressurize? I don't know. It's one of the two.
Well, they both had a little moment, and they touched the gravel just a tad bit out of that second chicane there. And now Macaulay goes wide. That might be a penalty. No penalty for Macaulay, but maybe a warning at the very least. That could have been very bad, though, if Macaulay hadn't let off the throttle. So that allows Morris to get a little bit closer to him down this very long straightaway as they approach Ascari. But honestly, I think that Macaulay's just too fast today. He is not going to be able to let Morris by him.
Oh, and Calvin gets a little bit twitchy, going to have a scar. It's going to give Macaulay more of an invitation to overtake. Look at Morris, too. He's going to have a little look at Parabolica. Not enough just yet. And racing up to out, Ascari.
Oh, and that is a shame for racing up.
Safety
We
car's
now
out.
have a safety car.
And look at Calvin! He just dived into the pit, and so did Morris. Brilliant timing for them for Sudden Standard and Chain Game. Timo's going to be back in this race as well.
And honestly, you know, McCauley, he could not have dove into the pits even if he wanted to, because Calvin had already taken that position. You know, these cars, they have one pit box that they have to share with their teammate. So good job on McCauley's part for staying out, even though maybe he should have pitted in a different scenario. In this scenario, staying out definitely the best case. And Carwin Robb, of course, there was no chance he was going to be able to make it to pit road, nor was Mansell. But now our strategies are looking a little bit different, and look at Morris on the hard compound tire. So my question to you, Oliver, is Morris going to try to stretch these hard tires all the way to the end? And I actually think we might have lost Oliver, so hopefully he can get back with us here in just a moment. But you are watching on your screen Morris right now, who is third in the championship standings entering this race. He has decided to pit for the hard compound tire. The only other driver to do so is the Alpine of Sonicok, who just a lap ago had an off in the Ascari chicane. So unfortunate for him, but this safety car could allow him a chance to rebound in this race. Of course,
Sorry about that, Tim. I was having no conversation.
Yes, fantastic. We do have you back. We were hoping we didn't lose you.
No. I was having a little conversation about work.
Oh, about what? Well, have you told them that racing is on?
No, it doesn't really require that, doesn't it? It just came about. I don't mind. Why is Kyle Roberts stayed out? Kyle Roberts stayed out. Interesting.
Maybe he feels like his tire wear is okay to go for a little bit longer. We have seen traditionally the soft tires last approximately 11 laps around this circuit. And with only being 5 laps on the soft tires and one of those already being under the safety car, it stands to reason that he can at least extend the tire life a little bit more. But again, I am a bit surprised, Oliver, because as you see, a lot of drivers behind him have decided to pit. So Senna has stayed out, but Mansell decided to pit for a fresh set of mediums. McCauley pitted for a fresh set of mediums. Calvin, he pitted the lap before. And interestingly enough, by McCauley staying out, he has jumped Calvin on track. So now McCauley is ahead of his teammate when it was the other way around when Calvin decided to dive down to the pits when the safety car came out.
So Ferrari are now 2-3 now, barring Senna and Karim haven't stopped. So right now, but let's take this to another account, Tim. Timo's all the way down in 13th place in his new team Mercedes. He's got a hell of a lot of work to do to get back into the top spots.
That he does. Timo on a fresh set of mediums. Of course, very possible for him to still make up those positions, but the thing that's really going to bite him in the rear end, Oliver, is what you were talking about in qualifying, is we get these DRS trains around this circuit during the race, and when you are stuck in a DRS train, your chances of overtaking the car ahead are incredibly minimal at that point, because everyone has DRS. You might have it, but so does the car ahead, and you know what, who knows, maybe even the car ahead of him. So it takes a lot of practice, a lot of navigating, and maybe, just maybe, a little bit of James Hunt to make sure that you can get around him.
Yeah, I agree. So, you pretty much hit the nail on the head there. So, Kyle Robb right now leading the Grand Prix, 6-lap old softs. They started on the race as well. So Senna, he's done the 6-lap old medium tire. So Senna theoretically should have the tire advantage. So hope that works out in his favour. And Morris, he's gone into the hard compound tyre, so he's going to do a definite 1-stop for this race. I don't know about the others, going probably possible 2-stop because they can stretch the tyres out.
You do have to take into consideration, though, that the safety car laps do give you a lot of leeway with those tires, so I think it's very possible that the medium tire runners can make this a 1-stop if they keep their tire wear where it needs to be. No pun intended, obviously. And Mansell, we see him on track now in the 3rd position behind his teammate of Senna. So far a good showing for Ferrari in their home Grand Prix, running 2nd and 3rd with a chance at a win. Of course, it's only lap 7. We have 21 laps of racing left to go, and what a stellar 21 laps it is shaping up to be if the first 4 laps were anything to go by.
It was definitely action-packed, to say the least, and when all the drivers are really just here on full position, trying to get the best advantage possible, and the safety cars in the stat, Tim, they're all yours.
And Colin Robb is the control car. He gets to decide when he goes. He gets to decide when the field goes. The question is, will he catch him sleeping, or are they going to be ready to pounce and stay on Colin Robb as they race down into turn number 1? We will watch from the onboard of Senna Martins and see just how good of a start Colin Robb does or does not get. And Senna, he is ready to go, but Colin Robb catches him sleeping, maybe, but Senna stays right close ahead. And now Mansell looking underneath Senna, so it's a side-by-side battle between the two Ferraris into turn number 1. One of them's going to have to concede a position, but neither of them is going to. Oh, and they both slide. Senna gets into the back of Colin Robb and sends him through the chicane. And Senna is still hanging on to second place for now, but he might have some wing damage. His teammate of Mansell gets around him, and just behind him, it's McCauley and now Williams trying to follow Mansell through. But he is blocked by the Ferraris, and it's a Ferrari roadblock ahead of him. He thought about making it 3 wide into that second chicane, but you cannot do that, and he knew it. He backed out of it, and both Ferraris flying a little bit, and some contact with McCauley into the back of Mansell.
Where did chain gang came from?
Chain game, wow, and the Alpha Tauri, he's making moves up through the field, looking underneath of McCauley and the Williams now, and he can't do anything with it through the 2 Lesmos. So Chain game, wow, has to try to get a good run down this straightaway, maybe make a move into the Ascari chicane, but I don't think he's going to be able to do it. McCauley got a better exit out of the last 2 corners, so Chain game, wow, can do nothing but follow that Williams through and wait for another opportunity.
Good. That was a very interesting start for Colin Robb. Wants to leave him very late, trying to catch the driver sleeping, but the Ferraris definitely wake up. We're definitely not asleep there. And Morris is going for a move. Tim on Calvin.
Morris in 7th place. Calvin Racing dropped down to 6th, and that is unfortunate for him. He was in 4th when they went back to the restart. Now it's McCauley in 4th place, and Morris looking underneath him, and he gets the move done, but does he clear him? Yes, he does. Only barely. Move Morris up into the 6th position for now, but Calvin Racing going to try to fight back on the outside. So it's Mercedes versus Williams into turn number 1, side by side. Maybe some contact, just maybe. And Calvin Racing motors his way ahead of the Mercedes back into the 6th position. Just behind them, it is Max Iris and Impossible Bacon, the 2 Red Bulls fighting side by side. Max Iris just trying to rebound after a horrendous start earlier on in this race. Impossible Bacon, he's a reserve. He's just trying to get the best result that he can. Timo, meanwhile, last week's winner, is up in 7th place, and we have a car that went off. Who went off in the second chicane?
I don't know, actually. I actually didn't see who went off.
Unfortunately, I didn't see either, Oliver, so I guess that's going to forever be a mystery. But one car definitely went off in the second chicane. No time penalties as far as I am aware, so...
Oh, but Corley's having a go at the Ferrari, Tim. He's taking on Senna. Oh, he's down the inside. Oh, just kept it clean.
Oh, and Senna clips the curb, and Senna spins. McCauley, what a fantastic save as Senna reds out of the race. That might be another safety car. Yes, it is. And oh my goodness, the reaction time from McCauley was impeccable, Oliver. Go back and watch our broadcast if you need to. But I was on board with McCauley. He saw the moment that Senna clipped that curb and slid. He backed out of it, and it was just picture-perfect timing from McCauley.
Beautiful save from McCauley. That was absolutely pitch perfect. And I'll tell you now, that's incredible reaction time. And I'll tell you that is worth your saving any race. McCauley is having a fantastic race, Tim. Unbelievable race from McCauley today.
And it has just been a great day for him, as you said. And, you know, maybe we shouldn't be too surprised that McCauley has those kind of reaction times, because a little bit of a backstory about this man is that he actually does diving, like actual diving as a competition. Now, I don't know a lot about the sport, so I'm not going to go in and talk about it and butcher the knowledge of it. But that's what he does as a bit of a side hobby, I suppose, and he seems to enjoy it. So, you know, to get a good score in diving, I'm sure that you need great reflexes. So McCauley showcasing what he's got today.
I'd look into a bit of diving as well. I actually watched diving in the Olympics, and your team, your Americans team, you know a good thing or two about diving.
Honestly, I would not know. I did not watch the diving in the Olympics. I preferred the rowing. I really loved watching the rowing, and I watched the skateboarding. So, you know, things like that. Pretty much things with wheels that kind of sort of resemble Formula
Rowing
1.
doesn't have any wheels, Tim.
No, but it's a vehicle. So, well, technically a vehicle. It's a water vehicle. So, you know, you got boat racing, you got car racing. It kind of falls into the same incredibly broad category.
Not to mention that you Americans, Tim, topped out the Olympic medal table. You actually won the Olympics in Tokyo, so well done to you, to you Americans, Tim. Really happy for you. You beat China.
I was about to say, don't congratulate me. I had no part in it. Congratulate the athletes.
But still, yeah, it's your country at the end of the day, Tim.
Yeah, it is the country that I live in and that I'm from, and you know, currently just hanging out, watching a fantastic GP2 race.
And imagine motorsport, Tim, as an Olympic event. Oh, I'll tune in.
Subscribe.
Literally, I will tune in.
I would subscribe to that all day long, Oliver. But the question with that would be, how would that really work? I mean, I'm not saying it couldn't. I'm just wondering, what would that look like?
I think cars painted it as the national colour, like of their flags, to make it really recognisable. But you got to feel the same way. But if you want to, Senna, Tim, it was looking so promising for him today as well.
It really was, and you know, riding on board with Macaulay, we saw everything that happened. It was that one curve, you know, out of that left-hander exiting the Ascari chicane. That curve, if you touch it, you get a little bit of wheel spin. You are carrying so much speed that your day is practically done. I suspect that might have been what happened to Sonic earlier on in this race, but he was able to save it just enough to where he backed into the wall instead of going forward into the wall.
Right, so the car's coming in, Tim, and if I know Mansell like we do, Tim, he likes to play his safety cars. He likes to slow down, and then he's going to pick the right moment to launch off. He's going to try and mug everyone off. If we know Mansell that we know, Tim, he likes to play his safety cars. Very, very, and there you go. He's already done it. See, his strategy was he slows down and then he bolts off. And Sonic caught 5-second penalty for colliding with a possible bacon.
And you gotta wonder if that was actually a severe collision or not. So that may or may not be looked at in the steward's office later on.
It is, because Sonic has got wing damage.
Oh, and that is a shame. And a 5-second time penalty for speeding in the pit lane as well. I almost wonder if Sonic is just going to retire after today, or after that incident in this race.
Check it well on the pressure in Calvin if you want to have a look, Tim.
On board with Chen Game Wow now, and he got a good run entering the chicane, but he's not going to be able to make a move. And was there maybe some contact from behind him? No, there wasn't, but Chen Game Wow, he had a little bit of a twitch entering that corner, so the car getting a little upset. Maybe the brake bias turned a little bit toward the rear and made him slide, but he's able to hang on to it, and that is what matters for Chen Game Wow. A good showing so far in the 4th position and trying to challenge for the final spot in the podium.
Been a good day for Williams, to be fair to 2-3 at the moment. They've been very consistent on pace. Oh, and Andreas is out of the Grand Prix.
And he is wrecked in another safety car.
Oh, he gets to catch up a bit more.
Well,
right.
Oliver, we've talked about the Olympics. We have talked about how boats apparently have wheels in my brain. So what else can we talk about?
I think we can talk about the rest of how the season's going to play out in Formula 1.
And that's an interesting one indeed. I think that Max has a 12-point lead over Lewis, if I'm correct. Mansell, a 5 seconds. Yes, we saw at the same time a 5-second time penalty for speeding in the pit lane from Mansell, and that could very well be detrimental to his race.
Well, and look at that car, Rob, who pitted under the second safety car, plummeted down the order, is now into 2nd place now. But look at the drivers said they're going onto mediums and soft tyres, so they're thinking those soft tyres are going to get to the end of the Grand Prix. Pretty much nearly the whole field is going for soft tyres.
And I'm actually surprised to see a lot of drivers pitting this early for the soft tire. But if you think about it, it does make sense. The safety car will last about 3 laps, which means we'll be going back green around lap 16, give or take. So that gives them, surely enough, 11 laps on the tires, which is perfectly within that window of soft tires on full fuel. So with there being less fuel on the tires, I think that it actually is a good strategy now that I think about it. It's just that the safety car came out at a very awkward time. It's right there within that window to where you at least have to think about it. I know in my race in GP5 on Monday, the safety car came out on lap 11 or 12, and I was, maybe 5 laps or so from making the decision of pitting for soft tires because I started on mediums. But then the safety car kind of put a spanner into my strategy, and it really took a little bit of thinking to figure out what I needed to do. Of course, my race engineer, that being Smoke, for those of you who know him, played a tremendous part in helping me. And when I say played a tremendous part, I mean pretty much entirely. He's fantastic. He's helped myself and Sander, you may know him as Guy Zelodian, really get some results this season.
To be fair, Tim, you said at the start of the season that you might not be for some of the races, but you competed every single 12 rounds. You must be really. You give yourself a pat on the back, my friend.
I've tried to show up and be there for my teammate. Realistically, I don't see a route to me winning the Drivers' Championship, but just maybe my teammate can do it. And regardless, AlphaTauri in the GP5 series is looking pretty good. So I try to be there for him and score as many points and help us along.
Hey, you had your highs and lows too. Your biggest high is definitely Austria when you got the top 5.
Well,
that was a great result for you.
Got a top 5 in Zandvoort as well, so it's 2 top 5s on the season. Sander has, I think, a win or 2 and some podiums. So we have got some decent results between the two. And let's not forget, Oliver, a few weeks ago, you won yourself a race.
Hey, that was the main target goal of mine, to win a Grand Prix. And yes, I had to do it the hard way, but that was one major goal of mine. The one monkey off my back I needed. I competed SFR for about 4 seasons, and I pretty much needed to get that victory off the monkey off my back, and this season it came, and I'm really happy. Now it's onwards now to the next goal, and it's hoping to get a bit more wins. I want to try and get not just the 1 win. I'm probably going to get my next target, probably next season, probably get maximum of 3 wins, hopefully. But GP3 is so competitive, so we'll just have to wait and see if the results come our way. And no matter which team I am, I'd love to be in a Mercedes powered car because I like Mercedes power. No offense, because me being a Mercedes fan. I'd like to stay with McLaren because I feel like I'm really taking the McLaren. But if it means me going back to my old team Mercedes, I'll do that, or a Williams or an Aston Martin. I'll definitely take them.
And Oliver, you remember how we were talking about a specific driver having a good day?
Yeah.
Well, that driver is now leading the Grand Prix. Macaulay 8 laps on those medium tires.
This dude right here, he has done an absolute bit of a job. He's played the strategy right. The car looks right underneath him. He's got the right setup on underneath him. It's just working out for him superbly, and it's really, really helping his favour. But look at this, Tim. Impossible Bacon in 3rd place, and Xander in 4th. Those 2 names have never been out there in pretty much the whole race. A really good job for Impossible Bacon and Xander to be out there. Definitely calling on the strategy.
And Impossible Bacon, he is a reserve driver today, so he's not even a driver that runs in this series full time. But what a fantastic result it would be if he was able to walk away with a podium.
Oh, definitely. And I mean, that if that would mean so much to him as probably 2nd or 3rd race as a reserve, and he probably gets a podium out of this. But there's a slight issue. Penalty. He has got his penalty of a 3 second.
Yeah, that's
a slight issue.
Just a tiny little issue.
Oh, it's 5 seconds, sorry. It's 5 seconds.
There is your updated penalty situations. 5 seconds for Impossible Bacon, 5 seconds for Mansell after speeding in the pit lane, 5 seconds for Morris and Gadabo. The safety car comes in this lap. So let's see what Macaulay is going to do. How is he going to play this safety car ahead of who else but Carwin Robb?
Well, that's pressure. Having the championship leader right behind you. That's going to be a bit of pressure. But I'm sure Macaulay can handle it. Let's see how he does.
Championship leader, the one with the most points, the one with the most podiums, the one who has overall been the most consistent, breathing down your neck, wanting another win, and Macaulay decides to go in. He did not catch Carwin Robb out, but somehow, some way, Macaulay put some distance between the two, and Macaulay is now pulling away almost half a second ahead of the Haas.
We have to watch out for Mansell because he is on his uber fresh soft tires, and you know he wants to build a gap and try and get past these drivers to get some points.
Oh, just behind him, though, Calvin looked underneath him, not able to do anything with it. It's a little bit of a scuffle behind him between Calvin and Chain Game Wow.
Sanders got a look as well. Sanders having a look at the Impossible Bacon slightly. No, it's going to stay right behind him.
So Chain Game Wow, he actually went wide and took out one of our Pirelli banners on the side of the track. So not sure that Pirelli's going to enjoy that. Good thing they're not sponsoring us or anything.
No, of course not.
Just thought it was kind of funny, but here comes Chain Game Wow trying to get underneath Calvin, and he's not able to do anything with it. Uses a lot of curve there, though, but he might be able to get him going into Ascari because he might have just got a tiny bit of a better exit out of the last corner. But just ahead of him, it's Mansell and Xander fighting side by side for a moment. Xander goes ahead of Mansell, or stays ahead of Mansell, rather. Mansell has to concede the position, but through Ascari, Chain Game Wow and Calvin Racing get through fairly cleanly, but no change in position for either of them. Macaulay leads by just a tenth of a second over Carwin Robb as they enter Parabolica, and Carwin Robb right on the rear end of the Williams.
Mansell going into fourth, so he's going to try and chase out from Impossible Bacon, but here comes Carwin Robb for the lead.
He's going to try to make the move, and he goes on the outside, and that might be Macaulay's lead over and done with. Macaulay, he is using every bit of effort that he can to stay ahead of the Haas, and into turn number one, it's going to be a side-by-side battle. Contact between the two, and somehow, someway, both of them get away mostly unscathed. Is there any wing damage, though?
Not far as I can see.
Meanwhile, Gadabo, he's retired from the session, so something has happened with the McLaren. He is wrecked out on the front straightaway. No safety car yet. Lap 17 of 27, and Macaulay has lost the lead to Carwin Robb. Macaulay now half a second behind the Haas driver. You got to think that, having 10 laps on the medium tires versus 6 laps for Carwin Robb, maybe, just maybe, that made all the difference.
Mansell got a brilliant exit out of the second left mode. That means he's going to take on the Impossible Bacon for third place. This is going to be crucial for Mansell's strategy if he can get this pulled off.
So far, Impossible Bacon staying ahead of Mansell. Looks to be a fairly easy battle, but I guarantee you it is definitely not. Mansell and Impossible Bacon are probably both white-knuckling their steering wheels at the moment.
And they got Chain Game Wow with a little look of Calvin. Doesn't make the most of it. Here comes Mansell now to try and take on Impossible Bacon once more.
And down the straightaway, the DRS is enabled, but Mansell will not have DRS this time. We'll have to wait till next time to get it down the front straightaway, but there's another DRS zone coming up before too long, and maybe he'll get a chance at Impossible Bacon then. But remember, both of these guys with a 5-second time penalty.
Oh, contact between Chain Game Wow and Calvin. And Timo's having a look on the outside. Oh, what's happened to that's Impossible Bacon?
He is spun all the way down into the 10th position now as Impossible Bacon. So Mansell moves into third. Chain Game Wow into fourth. Timo making the move around Calvin for 5th place now, right before they get to the second chicane. So Timo in 5th, Calvin in 6th, Morris in 7th, Max Iris in 8th, 9th is Sonikov, 10th, Impossible Bacon, Xander in 11th, and Carwin Robb, Macaulay, Mansell, your top 3 right now.
Right now, but Timo's going to try to make up all the positions he's trying to catch up on after a very poor lap 1. Morris is going to try to take on Calvin. And gets the move done. No! Oh my god! Oh! Wow.
Oliver, we missed it. What happened there? You gotta let us in on that.
Well,
And what happened to Xander? What happened to Xander now? He's retired from the session.
It's already down to 8 drivers, my days. Chege well into third. I'll explain when if there's a virtual safety car. Look at Chege! They're trying to take on McCauley. Safety car is out. Wow. Okay, so I'm going to let you in on what's happened. Morris has got ahead of Calvin, but his left rear tyre was just on the edge of Calvin's front wing, and Morris is trying to go into Mascari's racing line, and they both made contact. There was a big, massive accident between Morris and Calvin. Big incident.
And unfortunately for Morris, that is his day done, as well as Calvin. And honestly, both of them had an opportunity to have a good day. Calvin, something happened on the last safety car restart to where he lost.
Look how many drivers we got left, Tim.
Yeah, 8 drivers left. Impossible Bacon being in last place, but that's not a bad thing now because he's only got 7 cars ahead of him. He's in 8th right now. So, needless to say, if you finish this race today, you're going to score points. Doesn't matter who you are, but you're going to score points as long as you can finish. And actually, I think that the regulations of SFR and the real-life FIA is that if you DNF, as long as you have finished 90% of the race, if you're still credited with a top 10 finish, you will score points. So the question is, when have we reached the 90% mark?
Good question. I don't know. I really don't know.
So Mansell, he re-inherits the lead with that 5-second time penalty. Surprised to see that he didn't pit, though. Maybe he didn't have a fresh set of tires left. Timo, probably the same situation. Carbon, Rob, and McCauley, no-brainer there. They both make a pit stop for fresh, soft tires, as does Chain Game Wow, Max Iris, Sonicock more than likely as well, and Impossible Bacon. So the entire field on soft tires now, most of them on fresh, soft tires. Lap 20 of 27, only 8 cars left, but make no mistake, it's not about how many cars we have out there, it's about how hard they're going to go at it, and they have been going at it the entire race.
So, Carmen Robb, McCauley, Chege, Maximus, Dale, and Impossible Bacon, they have all pitted for the fresh soft tyre. Timo, Mansell, and Sonic Hawk opted not to pit, but Timo and Mansell, they are going to be really good. They're going to feel it. They are really going to feel it against Carvin. Because he's on, well, let's just say 6 laps fresher tyres than the both of them ahead. So, Carmen Robb is an absolute favourite to win this race.
I want to know, though, I do want to know, and I guess we're going to find out sooner rather than later, what is McCauley, Chain Game Wow? What are they going to do? These are the 2 guys that have, I think, put on the biggest surprise thus far in this race.
Oh, definitely. Definitely. I couldn't agree with you more. And McCauley, I have been super impressed with him. In my mind, he should have deserved a win. I think on my mind, he's still within a chance for a win, don't forget. If things goes his way, he's got a chance for a victory. If he gets the victory, he will thoroughly deserve it, because that Williams underneath him, whatever he's done to the car, is an absolute beast underneath him. And Chenge Wow and the AlphaTauri, both of them deserve a really good result for their performance today.
And let's not forget, just behind Chain Game Wow, it is Max Iris. Max Iris, who is second in the points, needs to gain on Carwin Robb, and he was able to gain on him last week. Not sure if he's going to be able to do it this week, though, but if he can at least stay close, then he can stay within the championship conversation. But Max Iris, he has got an opportunity to maybe best Carwin Robb here if he can find a way to pick off the cars ahead of him.
Do you think Morris's championship challenge is over?
From a mathematical standpoint, no. But from a realistic standpoint, it stands to reason that it likely is. We're only halfway through the season once this race concludes today. It's round 12. I'm pretty sure we have 24 rounds. Correct me if I'm wrong in that. So with just half the season remaining, I don't really want to say that anyone's championships hopes are mathematically gone. But we talked to Morris last week, and he said himself that he's really not worried about the championship anymore. He's not had the consistency that he's needed to, see that as a realistic goal. So Morris is just going out there for wins. So from that standpoint, if the driver thinks that he can't win the championship, then it doesn't matter what the math says. I'd say that it pretty much is done.
Right, since you can't understand, Tim, they're all yours.
Mansell going to be the control car, and we saw what he did the last time. Let's see if he does that this time, although maybe, just maybe, Timo and Carmen Robb are going to be expecting that, but Mansell, being the smart driver that he is, decides to go at a different point on the racetrack, but still Timo, and Mansell goes into the wall, actually. Mansell goes into the wall, so Timo gets ahead of him, and now McCauley trying to get underneath of Carmen Robb here, but he has Mansell on his inside. He can't do anything with it. McCauley looking underneath of Carmen Robb. Now Carmen Robb going on the outside of Timo. Is it going to be 3 wide into the first chicane? Yes, it is. And contact. McCauley makes contact with the Mercedes. Somehow he stays on track. He is in third place, trying to get up in a second on the outside of Timo. Carmen Robb, meanwhile, sailing off into the sunset. McCauley trying to get the slipstream off the Mercedes. Going to look on the outside line. Can't do anything with it. Timo stays in the middle of the track. Does not let anyone by him. Timo sets his sights on Carmen Robb now, but he has got a time penalty. Timo trying to do what a driver has not done yet this season, and that is win 4 races in a row. But even if he gets by Carmen Robb, there's no guarantee he can do that. And it doesn't look like he's going to get by him at all. Carmen Robb is already 0.7 of a second ahead. This could be the Haas's race to lose.
Then the reason why Timo got a 5-second penalty, because he got a 5-second penalty for ignoring yellows. I mean, Timo, great save, absolute brilliant.
Chain game, wow, going up around McCauley, or at least trying to get 2 cars for 1, but can't do it as they go to parabolic. And there's contact, McCauley spins, does he save it? No, he does not. McCauley drops back, chain game, wow, into third now.
Wow, this is one hell of a race. And chain gauge into third place now. Car on 1.7 ahead. This has turned into an absolute chaos of a GP2 race.
Max Iris making his way into 4th now after all of this. McCauley still in 5th, though. He is still in 5th. He has somehow been able to maintain at least some track position. 7. And Mansell, he's wrecked out. He's not wrecked out, but he has retired in the pits. So Mansell will not finish this race. He is in the 8th position. That's where he will stay. 7 cars remaining, lap 23 of 27. It's coming down to the wire. Carmen Robb 2.1 seconds ahead of Timo, but Shane Game Wow breathing down Timo's neck, trying to get around that Mercedes for the 2nd position.
Well, I'd say Timo's been very aggressive. He really doesn't want to lose any points. The 4th win is probably out of his reach now. Well, it's not probably, it's certain. The 4th win is out of his reach because Carmen Robb's got too much pressure of a tyre to keep a challenge. So Chain Wow is going to try and ruin Timo's evening and try and get 2nd place away from him.
And Chain Game Wow, slowly but surely, he does eat away at the gap ahead of him. It's just 0.3 of a second now, and you got to think, or actually you don't got to think, you got to know that Timo having 10 laps on those tires and everyone else having fresh set of softs, that has been the big detriment to his race in the closing laps. Timo, if he had a fresh set of softs, maybe he'd be up there challenging with Carmen Robb, but as it stands now, without a catastrophic failure from Carmen Robb, Timo will not go 4 in a row.
No, unfortunately not. It's a shame because we would love to see a 4 in a row, but we're not going to see a 4 in a row, which is a shame. But Carl played a very good day today. But McCauley, man, he's going to be really gutted that the contact between him and Timo in Parabolica is going to sting him for a little bit.
Still a top 5 for him, though. Still a good run for him. Of course, he could have had so much more, but Max Iris now with a 3-second time penalty. So McCauley might get just a little bit more. Not a podium, but maybe a 4th place finish.
What a curry. And here comes Chain Game. No, it's going to play safe for now.
Lap 24 of 27. He can play it safe now, but he can't play it safe for long. Sooner or later, he's going to have to make the move around Timo, especially if what you say is true, Oliver, and that the 5 seconds for Timo might be removed due to it being for ignoring yellow flags. For those of you who may not understand why that time penalty would be removed, we'll explain it to you. There is a glitch to where you can get a 5-second time penalty for ignoring yellow flags.
Before you can explain that, but here comes Chain Game, Tim.
and he goes around, makes the move, very clean move actually, before they get to turn 1.
Now, Max Rest is next.
Oh, and Chain Game, he actually got the curb a little bit, but somehow he hangs onto the car, and Max Iris trying to breathe down the neck of Timo, and he might just be able to get him sooner rather than later here, but Timo got a better exit out of the second corner, so Max Iris can do nothing but watch the Mercedes just get a little bit smaller in his vision ahead of him, but then the Mercedes gets a lot bigger as he gets closer to him in that second chicane, and a better
Tires
exit.
Tires are gone.
Yeah.
That Mercedes is all over the place.
Yeah, the tires are definitely gone, Oliver, and you know that's something that we're used to hearing from Mercedes.
Hamilton vibes?
Exactly Hamilton vibes. Timo is probably screaming at Bono right now.
Probably, yes.
But nonetheless, I mean, good effort on Timo's part.
Oh, he'll be back next race for in Portugal for to get his another shot at a victory.
So lap 25 of 27, about to be lap 26 of 27. So just 2 laps to
I
go
noticed
in the
something
Grand
else
Prix.
here. Macaulay can't get his podium because of the penalties.
He can. He definitely can. However, we still do need to figure out if Timo's time penalty will be removed. If it was, in fact, 4 yellow flags, then it's a very likely scenario that the stewards will deem that an unfair penalty and remove it. The reason why is because there's a glitch in the game that it will give you time penalties for ignoring yellow flags, even when you did not ignore them, and sometimes even when there are no yellow flags.
Sonic Hawk and Impossible Bacon, did they have a little squabble, Tim?
And Sonic Hawk thought about making a move in that second chicane, thought better of it, had to concede the position to Impossible Bacon, and a good rebound for Sonic Hawk here. He stayed out of trouble for the second half of this race, had a little bit of a moment out of Ascari in the early laps of this race, and it seemed like his entire day was going to be playing catch-up just to maybe get a point. And now he has survived so many safety cars to be running in 7th with a possible chance at getting around Impossible Bacon for 6th, and there he goes before Ascari. So Sonic Hawk moves into 6th now. Definitely a good rebound for Sonic Hawk.
Oh, indeed so. Good work for Sonic Hawk today, and Impossible Bacon wants another shot of that LP machine.
And he's thinking about it. He's thinking about it in Parabolica. They're side by side. Sonic Hawk gives him plenty of room. Impossible Bacon motors out of the corner. He might just be able to get the spot, but I think Sonic Hawk's going to have the momentum on the outside, do him a favor, and thrust him into 6th position ahead of the Red Bull. But no, it won't, though. The Red Bull actually stays ahead. Maybe some help from the ERS, but nonetheless, Impossible Bacon is going to stay ahead of that Alpine.
Is it ERS or DRS?
Oh, it could be either one, honestly. Maybe a little bit of both. Maybe just a tad little bit of both. But this is the final lap of the Grand Prix, and the final podium positions are up for grabs. No one can catch Carwin Robb, who is 3.9 seconds ahead of Chain Game Wow. But what a fantastic drive for Chain Game Wow, rebounding to a 2nd position. He has been one of the most impressive drivers in this race.
I don't know who today's driver of the day today, Tim. I need a little think on that one.
I honestly, Oliver, I am too, but it might be going to Chain Game Wow, but nonetheless, we still have a Grand Prix to finish. And, Macaulay gets a 3-second time limit for multiple warnings, so it will not be a podium for Macaulay today. Carwin Robb entering Parabolica now, just one more corner to go, and he will have yet another win on the season. He is your points leader. His team is the Constructors' Championship leader, and now Carwin Robb gets another win and the fastest lap with a 121.7. Chain Game Wow in 2nd place. Max Iris jumps up to 3rd. Macaulay in 4th. A fantastic day. It could have been more, but it's still not a bad day for him.
Driver of the day is between Macaulay and Chain Game Wow, but I might swing my hat towards Macaulay just because his pace all race was just incredible. The car was with him as well. In my mind, I might have to give it to Macaulay for my driver of the day. But what's yours, Tim? I'd love to know what your vote is.
I don't know. I kind of feel like maybe I should give it to Chain Game Wow, but I agree with you too that Macaulay had the pace on him, and when you think about, the communication between the driver and their car, it seemed that Macaulay really had that, so to speak. So can we just have 2 drivers of the day? Because both Shane Game Wow and Macaulay did a fantastic job. And
unfortunately, we can't, Tim, so we got to have one.
maybe we can change the regulation one day. But nonetheless, it is Carwin Robb who has won the Italian Grand Prix. And your official results for the Speed Force Racing GP2 Series Italian Grand Prix is Carwin Robb in first, Shane Game Wow in second, Max Iris in third, Macaulay in fourth, Timo in fifth, Sonicock in sixth, seventh is Impossible Bacon, and then Mansell, Morris, Calvin, your remainder of the top 10, all DNFs, as well as behind him, Sander in 11th, 12th is Gadabo, 13th is Andreas, 14th is Senna Martins, 15th is Racing Upta. What a crazy race, Oliver, and we will talk to our top 3 finishers, Carwin Robb, Shane Game Wow, and Max Iris.
It was very incident-filled, to say the least. Let's get these drivers in. So, how'd you rate that one, Tim? That was a very, very incident-filled race.
10 out of 10 on the rating scale. I've got to say, a 10 out of 10 Italian Grand Prix.
Yeah, I'll give it a good old 10. That was a one hell of a race. Whew. On to Portugal, Tim, and tomorrow, Tim, we're going to debut in Imola tomorrow with GP1.
Oh, there you go. So GP1, Mansell, of course, he will be, or should be, racing in GP1 at Imola. So, you know, he gets a little bit of a, well, not practice for that track, but he gets practice in the same country, technically. Imola, Monza, both in Italy.
We'll be debuting ourselves for Portugal.
Yep, I believe GP1 has already made the trip over to Portimao, but the GP5 through GP2 series next week will be going to Portimao, so that's going to be a very interesting race. But it looks like our drivers are starting to show up here, so we will be able to talk to them. Just waiting on, I believe, one more.
Which is Max Iris.
Not sure if Max Iris will be able to join us or not. Hopefully he will, but in the meantime, we will commence the interviews with our first and second place finishers. But before we do that, guys, please make sure that you've allowed your voice to be shared. If you don't know how to do that, go over to the party settings, click Always Allow, and let me know when you're ready.
Ready.
Check, are you ready to go?
Yes.
All right, well, first things first, we will talk to our winner, Carwin Robb. Another win on the season, and another day that you are increasing your championship lead. Now, I'm not going to ask you about your championship because, as we well know by now, you have your sights set on that title. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. But I do want to ask you, did you think that Monza was going to be another win for you? Because it seemed like in the qualifying you were trading the pole position with a lot of drivers, and with it being a wet qualifying, that was, possibly, not reflective of the race. But as we can see, you ran the fastest lap on the final lap and won the race. So overall, was this an expected result?
Well, for a start, it's been a while since I've been here. And I didn't know what to expect, to be honest, because I owned a Monza for a while, and with all the updates the game has had, like, they've changed the curbs a lot. And I think the second chicane, if you touch one of them curbs, your car's going in the air. So I just didn't know. I didn't think I was going to win, because I had to completely change the way I drive around here. But in qualifying, I think I could have got pole, but I didn't have enough fuel on my last lap, and I crashed anyway. But after my start, and seeing that I led, like, I got a 2-second gap in about 3 laps or something, that, like, really built my confidence, and I thought, I'm actually fairly quick around here. But another thing, I didn't know what to think with, like, the 6 safety cars we had. I don't know. It's just shocking.
It was very,
really.
very incident filled out there today, Carwin.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. People just, I don't know. I really don't know.
So how far does confidence go for you considering that you do have a sizable lead in the championship. But of course, I'm sure that you are trying to be very careful to not get complacent.
Yeah, well, the last few races I have been taking it really carefully because I have such a big gap, and seeing Max Verstappen and Timo, the pace is like unreal at the moment, and it's been tough to keep up with them. And I've just been kind of hesitating to go for some moves because I just don't want to get taken out. And for today, I thought I didn't think of the championship as much. I kind of had the same mindset as I had for the first few races of the season. So I just had to go for the gap that was there. And I think that's the mindset I need to go into the rest of the races with.
On to Portimao, Corin. How are you feeling?
I don't know. I've only done one race around there. So it went pretty well. So I'm looking forward to it.
Well, good job, Carwin Rob, on your win today. Now we will talk to the second place finisher of Chain Game Wow. So Chain Game Wow, in Oliver, to answer your question earlier, I think he's going to be my driver of the day. So you heard it here first, Chain Game. You are my pick for driver of the day. You had a fantastic amount of pace today, and you were able to survive what seems to be 100 safety cars to get this podium. It's not a win, and maybe that feels maybe you're a little bit gutted over that, but still, you went from, I believe, 12th on the grid all the way to second, so that is a fantastic drive. Where did that pace come from?
Well, I really didn't have pace as much as half of the field retiring from incidents and all unnecessary moves. I got a podium, but to be honest, I'm not really happy to have finished on the podium because there were so much incidents, which were most of them were quite unnecessary, and it was also in the middle of the race when I was behind Calvin, and when I wanted to overtake him, he just blocked me right on the straight. And those are moments that I don't really like, and those, yeah, I think the race said enough. I like races that are really chaotic, but this was a little bit too much, and I hope that the league will improve this kind of driving because it is, was for my terms, unacceptable.
So you're saying to you then, do you think the SFR admins will probably speak to you guys in GP2 saying you need to be a little bit more careful when it comes to overtaking and challenging for position?
Well, I like the type of aggressive racing, but there is always a limit, and in Belgium where I had in last lap there was also really on the limit because it was more like bumping over the place. This was a little bit the same. It was let's say, I really didn't have the pace, but to finish at this position is just staying behind people and waiting for them to crash, and I don't think that's the way how we race.
But in terms of your view, G-Game, are you really happy with this fantastic podium finishing in second place today?
Yeah, with the results I'm really happy, and I'm focusing on getting further in the championship, which is a real target for me this season. But I hope that we just can have a good, clean battle till Abu Dhabi, and not having the low attendance we already had today, and more quality racing. But if it's a little bit less aggressive than or chaotic, then I'm happy with it.
Portimao?
Portimao is a really good track for me, and the races where I had was a 100% podium score. But the funny thing with me in Speed Force is that on the tracks that I like, I haven't got the results I want to be in, and the tracks where I score a podium, that are my worst tracks, because my previous podium was in Canada, which is also my worst track. So we will see how Portimao goes.
Well done, J-Game. Fantastic second place, and hopefully the racing in your mind will hopefully improve.
Yeah, thanks.
And now we will talk to our third-place finisher of Max Cyrus in the Red Bull. Max Cyrus, you had a fantastic race today and a good podium. You did not gain on your championship competitor, unfortunately. So how does that change your view entering the second half of the season?
So you're saying in your mind, Max, that he didn't ever got a chance to show your pace today because of the amount of incidents that was happening out there on the track today?
And Max Cyrus, what happened to you on the start? Because we noticed that you lost a lot of positions. And these things happen, but nonetheless, you rebounded to a third-place finish, and you're staying consistent with the podiums. Congratulations.
And how do you feel about Portimao coming up? Oh dear. Try some practice to see how it kicks in.
That's music to me.
Oh my goodness, we are getting a little bit of championship rivalry in the interviews, but with that is all the time that we have. So congratulations to our podium finishers. Thank you to all the drivers that raced with us, and thank you to everyone who watched the stream. And until next time, good morning, good evening, good day, good night, wherever you are in the world. Have fun and goodbye.